Let the truth talk to him. Let the truth talk, truth talk. You just gotta listen.
Real talk that we talk about. Always talking.
You just gotta listen.
Welcome back to your most favorite podcast, Truth Talks. I'm your host, Crazy Bone.
What's happening? I'm the co-host, Keith G.
And yes, we back with another informative show.
Oh, yeah.
And today, ladies and gentlemen, the topic we will be discussing is freedom, but with accountability.
Yeah.
So we did a show on this topic, freedom,
Yeah.
like not too long ago, and we spoke about how America gives people this false sense of freedom. They give people this false sense of what freedom is because it gives the people the assumption that they can go around doing and saying whatever they want in the world and not be held accountable for it.
Real talk.
We also spoke about the huge differences between man's idea of freedom and God's idea of freedom.
Right.
So we're going to, review some of that as well, but also dig into some more facts about this whole topic. So let's start here.
Let's go.
So America has sold this dream of the land of the free to all of us. Not just us here in America, the whole world.
Yeah, real.
They made people believe that being free in America is everything you want, everything you need. Look, I was born here.
Right.
I've been living here 50 years. I've been conscious of how this system operates for at least 30 to 35 of those years. And I can honestly sit here right now, today, and tell you with a straight face that man's idea of freedom sucks.
Oh, yeah.
Excuse my expression, but it does, though.
Yeah, man. On the reels, because that's what men will do. They'll give you, like you're saying, they'll give you a false sense of what freedom is to be, even down to this thing of freedom of speech, just to even talk about like that part, Yeah. You're supposed to be able to say what you want to say, but when something is demeaning to somebody else and, saying just straight degrading, how is that freedom at all anyways, on something like that? But they got laws in place that they want to protect people who are, saying anything that they want to say off the head. Hate stuff. The Klan got a whole situation that they could say. They got a whole rally and a speech march, but under the Constitution of what they want to say, freedom of speech, they allow those things to go on. And that ain't nothing but hate. You know what I'm saying?
Bro, you know what? The whole time I was doing the research, you just hit me with a whole level. I wasn't even you hit it from a whole different aspect.
That's why we partners.
I wasn't even thinking about it like that. Yeah, so this false freedom that man is offering comes with a lot of catches, like you was just saying. It comes with a lot, it comes with a lot of fine print. Real small, you can barely see it, you know what I'm saying? And when and we don't see it because that word freedom is a very powerful word. It's kind of blinding. Somebody tell you you're going to be free, that's all you're thinking about.
All you thinking about.
It's a very powerful word. Think about all the wars between the different countries and races that's being fought in the name of freedom.
Yeah.
It's the truth, you know what I'm saying? I want to read something from the Encyclopedia Americana. It says, and this is true.
Right.
It says, in the evolution of civilization, no concept has played a more important role than liberty. You know what I'm saying? But we gotta think about this though.
Right.
How many people on this earth are really free?
It's a good question.
Or better yet, how many people even know what real freedom is? This is what the World Book Encyclopedia says right here. It says, for people to have a complete freedom, there must be no restrictions on how they think, speak, or act. They must be aware of what their choices are, and they must have the power to decide among those choices. Then the article goes on to say, it says, in view of this, the question again, how do you know anyone who is truly free? It's only one person in this entire universe that can say he has absolute freedom, can say what he want, do what he want, anytime he please.
Anytime.
And that's God.
Period.
That's God.
You know what I'm saying? That's how it's supposed to be. And man's not looking at that kind of freedom. You know, when we talk, and it's good that we talking about this because we've been on a quest for freedom as far as just to say black people for a long time. This freedom thing has been dangled in front of us, you know, for just since the beginning till right now. So we do got a false, and you know what? They gave us they hyped up physical freedom, which is what we do want. Everybody wants to be physically free or nothing like that. I'm not saying that that's not a hardship because that's a hardship that we came through. But the ultimate prize was to be free. Period. You know what I'm saying? Not of this earth, but be free in God's eyes. You know what I'm saying? Being free from sins and from the laws of those types of things. That's what we're going to get into later. And a lot of that stuff is not appreciated because they look at that as like, what's that? Being free from sin and this and that kind of thing. Or having a free mind, you know what I'm saying? Thinking and not in a corrupt system of this world.
True. So I wanna go and I wanna read an article that I pulled up from the JW.org. You know, it's talking about this very subject too.
Right.
And so I'll just read the first paragraph of this one. It says, for lowly humans, freedom can only be relative. It is usually granted or guaranteed by some authority and related to our subjection to that authority. Indeed, in almost every case, a person can only be free if he recognizes the authority of the guarantor of his freedom. For example, individuals living in the free world enjoy many benefits, such as freedom of movement, freedom of speech, and freedom of religion. What guarantees these freedoms? The law of the land. An individual can only enjoy them as long as he obeys the law. Yeah. If he abuses his freedom and breaks the law, he is held accountable by the authorities.
Right.
And his freedom may be drastically curtailed by prison sentence.
Yeah.
Clank, clank.
Straight up, you know what I'm saying? That's the punishment of it, you know?
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? So like I said earlier, a lot of catches with man's freedom. Not only that, the people that chase after man's freedom or America's freedom, whatever you want to call it,
right,
they tend to feel like they have a certain right to do or say whatever they choose to and not be held accountable.
That part right there. Accountability.
Let's take this January 6th insurrection situation for an example.
Right.
These people were so gassed up over their false freedoms that they were willing to risk their very own literal freedom.
Yeah.
Ran up in the White House, had their way with the Capitol officers.
Stormed the Capitol. Bro.
Had their way. You know what I'm saying? I even think 2 or 3, like 1 or 2 people were killed, I believe, if I'm not mistaken.
I think somebody was too. We'll search that, but I believe there was. Somebody lost life.
But I guarantee you this, that none of these people ever imagined that they would be charged, convicted, and sentenced to prison for their actions. They thought because this is my right, this is my freedom, that they wouldn't be held accountable. And, you know, I'm sitting back at the house. I remember watching this, bro. I'm sitting back at the house like, what is they doing? They going to get in trouble for this.
I knew they was going to get in trouble for that. You know what I'm saying?
like, they going to get in trouble for this, Jack. Bro, you know what I'm saying? And in these times we live in, bro, it's a lot of people that promote the idea of not being held accountable for your actions as well. You know what I'm saying? Even when we talk about this all the time, even when it's clear as day evidence and we all know that this person committed this crime, people will say, free so-and-so.
Yep.
Free such and such. He ain't do nothing.
Yeah.
Or say when a store owner shoots and kills somebody for stealing something out of his store, whether it be a bag of chips or clothing item, you know what I'm saying? And he shoots them and kill them, and you know what I'm saying? People be like, you know, or when a man sleeps with another man's wife or vice versa.
Right.
And they find out, husband and wife find out, and they kill both the people that's involved. And everybody say, oh, you know, they was wrong, but they didn't deserve to die. Or like I said, when somebody steals something, they get killed. But think about it this way. Who did God say was not going to inherit the kingdom? And what happened? And what happens to those people? The beginning of 1 Corinthians plainly says, or do you not know unrighteous people will not inherit God's kingdom?
Oh, yeah. That's 100%.
So those people are going to eventually face the same ending if they don't wake up and realize what they're doing anyway.
Real talk, bro.
And yes, it's wrong for a man to kill another man, but don't think that the person that was killed is not going to be judged for what he was killed for. He didn't escape it. You know what I'm saying?
Accountability,
You
bro.
got to think, like, I don't think people even think about this kind of stuff when they out here doing crimes and stuff.
Yeah. Because what society has tried to do was have erase accountability in people's minds. You know, look at the court system, for instance. You know, if I got the right liar on my squad, you know what I'm saying, I can get off of a murder or whatever it is. You know, so when people watch that on TV, like how we watched John Gotti, they called him Teflon Don because he got off on so much because he had a real expensive liar on his team. Yeah, you know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
In fact, his liar was so good that they banned him from his last trial. You know what I mean? But this is what this society will do. They'll allow you to get away with things that you could pay for, and that shows somebody else, young folks, that, you know what, this is the way to go. I don't have to be accountable for the things that I did. I just have to have enough money to get out of the trouble. You know what I'm saying? So people, and when you want to just get out of trouble versus accountability, is what puts a bad decay on society. Because that affects the morals of people. Because now it's not about getting caught. It's just somebody see me. You ain't scared of getting caught. You just don't want to be seen.
Exactly, yeah.
Feel what I'm saying?
True.
So, you know, when you get it to that kind of thing and not accountable, it could even start with trash, man. You know, my partner Asu, he was like, you know, Keith G, I stopped littering and all that. He talked like from Jersey, so that's how he talked. Yeah, I stopped littering. You shouldn't litter. And I was like, man, I ain't tripping. I used to just throw my stuff out the thing. But I said, you know what? I got to be accountable for that. I can't just assume that other people going to come pick this trash up. And then later I'm wondering why it's all dirty. And and the last thing I'll say about it too, we used to be able to be accountable for the children around the area. In the neighborhoods back in the day, I'm 50, so, 51. So, we used to be on a thing where if you up the block cutting up, Mr. So-and-so will come tear you to pieces. You know what I'm saying? Then take you home and then tell your peoples about it and you get tore up again. But that was accountability because he was, this was our neighborhood. So we trying to be accountable for that stuff,
And another thing, this is crazy to me too. When you go to somebody's funeral that doesn't have a reputation of being a good person. We know this person robbed people, was terrible to people.
Yeah.
Probably even killed a few people. And people will get up and speak good things about this person like he was a good man.
Yeah.
They still don't hold him accountable. We also have to understand, bro, that when we do things in this world, we're going to be held accountable.
All day.
Especially black people. But then we go get into some serious crime or trouble that we can't get out of, and then we want to claim racism.
Yeah.
They discriminate on me because I'm black, because you're black, you should have never went and done that crime. Knowing that if you got into that situation, it could go bad.
Right.
And because of your race, it probably will have a effect on your sentencing and conviction. So why even do it? Because you will be held accountable. We're not that free in America, even though they say we have freedom of speech. How is this possible? When people speak their minds, they end up losing everything in their life.
That's true.
You get up and say something that's true, you can lose everything just like that.
Bro.
But it's supposed to be freedom of speech. That's not freedom of speech.
Who was that? Dave Chappelle and Kyrie Irving a couple of years ago, just for speaking using whatever this amendment is that they could talk and say with the freedom of speech. They use that and they talk. But look what happens to them. They get, straight ridicule for everything. A couple of years ago, Nick Cannon couldn't even do his show because he said what they said, anti-Semitic things. He was saying his truth. He was talking on his show and doing things, and he got stripped of what it said to back up what you're saying.
Man,
took everything that he had and gave it back slowly.
They will take everything, starting with the best of them. Michael Jackson.
Oh, man.
Starting with the best of them.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So you really have to be careful. See, first of all, we shouldn't be looking and this is real. First of all, we really shouldn't even be looking to man's freedom
Word.
as the solution to peace anyway.
Yeah.
Peace and security. Man, if you think about this, man has never possessed freedom.
Never.
Man has never known peace and security, ever. They never have, they never will. So how can they offer you freedom or peace when they don't possess it?
Real talk, bro. They can't.
They not even free.
Yeah.
No human being on this earth is completely free. You are either a slave to the devil or you are a slave for God. There is no in between.
Ain't no in between. And
there is no in between.
That's a great topic. I'm glad you said that too, because that is the only freedom that we got. Christ is the only one that made us free to be able to now bring us to the Father. So then now we can have a free mind, even if I'm locked up. I had a homie that was locked up. You know the one we had on our show. Did 27 years. But when I used to write him and talk to him, he sounded freer than a lot of people that was walking around with me because he had gave his life to Christ. You know what I'm saying? Because he like, I can't live like this no more. Yeah, I did a murder and this and that, but I repented. You know what I'm saying? Is what he say. And he went even to the family and all that kind of stuff. But it wasn't even so much of that. It's about the change that he made with Christ is what he did. You know what I'm saying? And that's what the freedom, that's the one that they want us to avoid. They don't even, they took that out of school. They're going to take it out any other place, you know?
Truth. In this world, man, I want people to know this, because in this world, if you have a 9-to-5 to support your family and you're paying taxes, you're a slave. Yeah, slaves get paid too. If you have your own independent business and you pay taxes, you are a slave. If you're a million billionaire and you pay taxes, you a slave. If you do a lot of charity work to get that tax break so you ain't got to pay all that money, you still paying the money to somebody because you don't want to, if you don't, what'll happen?
Shoot.
You will be held accountable.
Straight jail.
Slave.
Yeah.
So basically, we all the same. Rich, middle class, poor, we all in the same boat. So you should never feel bad about your position in life, for one, because even the richest man on this planet is a slave. Trust me. They just have certain benefits.
Talk to him, G.
That's the truth. You know what I'm saying? Now, did you want to say something on that, bro?
Just to shoot. I mean, with the situation like that, with them being as, rich or poor or anything like that, I like what you said before, where you said it's the one or two sides to choose from with this.
It is, bro.
Period. You know what I mean? And freedom, if you put into your mind that you want America's freedom or whatever, this worldly freedom, or do you want the freedoms that, God is offering to us through Christ for eternity? And that's something that people got to make a choice of. But it's I'm glad we're doing these kind of shows, because a lot of people don't even know what we're talking about. So a lot do. You know what I'm saying? We ain't the only ones that, just teaching something. But a lot of folks don't even focus on this kind of thing because of the way society pushes their minds. They ain't got time to. So it's something to get into.
I will say this to people, you know what I'm saying? Like, people spend a lot of time, protesting, marching, rallying for something you're never going to get. That's why when people, like, I've had conversations with people and they try to take my head off because say, I don't vote. I'm not going down there to protest. I don't care what happened. That's not going to change nothing. And I've been right 50 years straight. So what? They changed a little law, and they changing that one law, but then they changing 5 more. Just gonna make that one even worse.
Yep, 2 steps forward, 5 back.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like all that protesting, I'm telling you, is a waste of time, because you're asking them to give you something they don't possess.
Yeah, and they wouldn't give it to you.
They don't have it.
They wouldn't give it to you if they even had it, though. That's the coldest part too. You wouldn't even give it, even if they had it to give to you. They wouldn't give you none.
They couldn't even administer a vaccination to people right. You think they handling freedom? How you think they gonna handle freedom? Something they ain't even got.
Yeah. That's why we, you know what I'm saying, we look and we don't put our trust in man, we put our trust in God, because he's the ultimate freedom giver. He's the one who freely wants to give us things and not hold things over our head like a carrot, you know what I'm saying, or make us, go through hula hoops about this situation, you know. One time my grandma say, I'm glad that man can't make the sun shine, you know what I'm saying, because they wouldn't let it shine on me. And that's the same things with this fake freedom that they try to give with no accountability.
Yeah. You know, and like I said, all that is a waste of time, because, and like you said, even if they could give you wouldn't want it. You wouldn't want it, and I kind of keep, what I'm saying, we have a part 2 to this podcast as well that y'all, I definitely want to make sure y'all check it out, because we really go deeper.
Oh yeah.
With the scriptures and it's article, and now that we have shared a little on man's idea of freedom in part 2, we're gonna share some, like, my favorite part.
Oh yeah.
Of talking about God's idea of freedom, but still with accountability. And we're gonna see which one you like the most. I know which one I like the most.
Already, God's view.
Already. You know what I'm saying? And
yeah, I want to read this comment that we got, you know what I'm saying, from one of the peoples, that watch the
always
show.
Good. Always good.
Always at AKA Pimp Juice,
Tip way name.
Little title. He says, thank you for doing what y'all doing. It doesn't matter to me what y'all used to rap about at all, It's about being renewed in the spirit and of your mind. Putting on a new man, which after God is created of righteousness and true holiness.
Appreciate
that's
man.
At Pimp Juice. You name the front part at Pimp Juice. So thank you for those comments, man, on the reels.
Appreciate those comments. And also, if you would like to contact us and make any suggestions on what kind of topics you would like to hear us discuss, you can hit us on our email.
Yeah.
That's truthttalksonlytruth@gmail.com, or you can hit us up on IG at This Is Truth Talks. That's this_is_truth_talks.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is a pretty short one. But we thank y'all once again for joining us and lending us your ears.
Oh, yeah.
And attention. We definitely appreciate that. We thank you for your subscriptions. We thank you for your comments and your support.
Oh, yeah.
And remember to subscribe if you have not already. And please do so. Tell a friend and tell a friend. And always remember, the truth is always talking.
You just got to shut up and listen.
Talk to us, let the truth talk, truth talk.
Is always talking.
You just gotta listen.
Real talk that we talk about. Is always talking.
You just gotta listen.